Your nickname is Shorty, but looking on paper, sorry, yeah, your opponent is actually listed as 5'3", and you are 5'4". So you get to go in there and being the big man for this fight.
This is the first time I'm ever gonna have a height advantage. You know, for me, I've always been fighting guys who are 5'9", 5'7". When I did Muay Thai back in the day, 6 feet tall, 6'3". You know, so it's been like, oh man, I fought multiple different weight classes. I was getting ready for 145, and my opponent actually at 45 fought just like Jared Brooks. You know, but now it's at 125, and Jared's a natural strawweight. So it's one of those things that I'm like, huh, I'm a big man for once. This is a little different.
So being the shorter guy, going in and usually fighting guys that are bigger, when you first looking at an opponent, I mean, are you always first thinking of, all right, how am I going to get inside? How am I going to work past maybe a reach difference? What sort of things do you first, when you look at an opponent, what are some of the first things that cross your mind?
I mean, those are definitely the things of how am I going to be able to get in the inside? Is my pressure game going to work good against them or well against them? You know, what am I going to have to do to be able to implement my game? You know, Jared Brooks is a guy who moves around a lot, who likes to, you know, really just shoot for his takedowns. I believe his stats are like one significant strike around. He's not much of a stand-up fighter, not much of a ground fighter either. He just wants to hold you down, take you down, and just win the fight that way. Me, I want an exciting fight. I want to stand and bang. I want to keep on throwing, and I want to keep on doing as much as possible. Not to just get the win, but to make the fans happy and make the flyweight division an exciting division.
And I think that was one of the quotes that I saw on the UFC site. You said you're here to put on a performance, not a wrestling match, and that because of my fighting style, you expect the best Jared Brooks.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how would you describe your fighting style?
Well, I'm a pressure counter fighter. You know, I'm a boxer, judo guy, but I have some Muay Thai in between. I like to push forward no matter where the fight's going. I've been dropped, broken hand, torn MCL in fights, and I've still pushed forward no matter what. You know, punching with the broken hand, kicking with the torn MCL leg, doing so much, taking so many shots, cuts, bruises, stitches, all that stuff, and I mean anything. And I just keep on moving forward. Jared's the type of guy. I know he's fast, I know he's strong, and he has his wrestling, but I can tell he has fast hands. I can tell he has some stand-up game in him. He just needs someone to really push it out of him, and I think I can do that. Once I'm able to stuff his takedowns and he has no choice but to stand with me, I think that's going to be an exciting fight.
Now, you coming in undefeated, haven't, you know, but I think you're 25-1, so you've lost it at the amateur level, but, you know, lost it as a professional isn't something that you've had to deal with. But for you, is it about keeping that undefeated, or would you rather go out there, put on a good, you know, a good performance, you know, maybe go out on your shield, or is it about keeping this undefeated thing going?
You know, for me, I lost my very first one, and now I'm 32 straight, which is awesome. I never meant for that to happen. I never meant for me to be a champion. I just wanted to keep on fighting and enjoy the sport. It's one of those things that I'd rather go out on my shield. I'm a Justin Gaethje type of fighter. You know, as long as the fans are happy, I'm more than happy. You know, and it's one of those things that if they want to see me fight again, I'm technically doing my job as an entertainer perfectly. You know, so I want to go in there, put on a show, challenge my skills against some of the best. And again, if it didn't matter if it was Jared Brooks for a last-minute call, Tim Elliott, Ryan Benoit, Sergio Pettis is the top guy, DJ. So I'm ready to just face whomever and just have a good time doing it.
And you're one of these guys that, you know, you started training at such an early age. Now here you are, 25. You've been training since you're 4 years old, mm-hmm. 21 years of age. You're part of this breed now that has grown up mm-hmm. in mixed martial arts and martial arts. How has the sport, from when I'm sure you watched it as a kid, have you seen it evolve to what it is now and the type of level of the fighters that are entering the UFC at this day and age?
Well, I can tell you definitely saved my life. If it wasn't for martial arts, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. But just because of the upbringing and style of parenting I had and into things that were in my neighborhood. But you know, you look at some of these fighters today. I mean, back in the day when the UFC first started, it was literally style versus style. Now it's mixed martial arts where you have guys who can do literally everything. You know, you got guys who are flashy fighters. You got guys who are flashy fighters on the ground. You got guys who can do everything from head to toe. And it's still things I'm still learning today where you're like, man, this is awesome. You guys are... And I've been doing this since I was 4. I haven't learned this yet. You know, so there's always so much to learn in mixed martial arts. And there's guys that come out of woodworks that are not known but come out of nowhere with no record and just demolish some of the top dogs. And that's the best thing about the sport, that anything can happen. And there's so many different styles that are kryptonite to others. So I'm just excited to see how the sport keeps on expanding and developing.
And if you don't mind me prying too much, when you said it kind of saved your life, you know, what did you mean? Was it just maybe you got into a lot of trouble, or what sort of thing when you say it saved your life?
You know, for me, in my neighborhood, Chicago, I always say it's a typical Latino upbringing. You know, there's guys who have parents in gangs, drugs, all that stuff. So me, I was slowly kind of getting into that. My schools weren't the best when it came to that as well. Kids are always carrying weapons or, you know, have drugs on them as well. You know, that was a way to make money. That was a way to make yourself known. But, you know, slowly, because of martial arts, it kind of got me, you know, a sense of responsibility. And if it wasn't for Master Bob Shermer and my gym combat do, I wouldn't have gone to college. You know, and I wouldn't have had that sense of responsibility to go to college, finish school, and that's actually why I had 25 amateur fights, because he said if I didn't finish school, I'm not turning pro, and that was the #1 rule. So I finished school, I graduated, I actually won nationals and graduated the same day, and I won worlds the second year, and I got my pro contract for Titan FC, and you know, ever since then, 7-0, 2 world championships, 5 title defenses. You know, it's been a huge thing. It's awesome.
What'd you go to school for?
I went to school for Triton College. I got my associates in science, and then I went to McKendree University and got my bachelor's in leadership and sports and exercise science.
Was it one of those things that you did because you wanted to make sure you just cover your bases for after fighting, or is that something that you, I mean, is fighting obviously right now is what your goal and your focus is. I mean, was there plans of being something else at one day, or?
Yeah, I've always wanted to be a coach. I've always wanted to be like a big brother figure to a lot of people. So originally I wanted to be a gym teacher just to help out as much as possible, kind of get that same upbringing where the gym teachers and the coaches were, you know, my lifesavers in a sense. They steered me in the right direction. But for me, if MMA didn't work out well, I always thought of, I've seen some phenomenal fighters who are literally probably some of the best in the world get injured, or, you know, outside circumstances come into play and they just can't fight anymore. So for me, I always had a backup plan just in case. Worst comes to worst, I have my degree. I can read, I can write, I can do all these specific things just in case that things just don't work out as planned.
And I'm noticing a theme, even going back to when you were 4 and you said you wanted to be a hero like Goku or some of the Power Rangers. You definitely, I get the sense that giving back to community and helping others better themselves is something that you're, you know, trying to do with yourself.
Yeah, and I mean, my gym's been around for 20 plus years, and you know, I run my own website, my own merchandise, and anyone who supports me, 20% of all my earnings goes to the kids in my gym. You know, I'm not trying to do this to be a millionaire. I'm not trying to do this to make a huge living. Yeah, it helps me in my training camps, but it also helps the kids, you know, get to travel, train, and get different experiences. You know, I wasn't able to go to, you know, wrestling camps or some tournaments because I just didn't have the money. You know, so for these kids, it's nice to be able to say I can give back with the little money that I do have, mainly because of my merchandise I'm able to sell and people supporting. So it's a huge thing that I'm always, you know, I took care of 2 kids specifically after a wrestling program, and now they're 18 years old, and I took care of them since they were 11. You know, so I've been kind of like a big brother figure, a father figure to a lot of people, and it's, you know, it's a cool way of living for me. You know, and it makes me very happy to know that I'm helping change in people's lives, hopefully.
Yeah, and we've seen guys recently, like Brian Ortega really has the Ortega Foundation, is really using this platform to kind of propel his own interests and his own philanthropism. So are you looking forward to be able to take this UFC platform and use it to help people even more?
And that's something I've always wanted to do. Was I've talked to so many different promotions when I was trying to get signed, and finally the UFC was able to sign me, and I go, that's all I need is a platform. You guys don't need to do anything else for me. Just let me get on the pedestal, and I'll talk the rest of the way up there. And for me, you know, I know I can do it. Skill-wise, I know I'm a great fighter. I've done so many things at only 7-0. Again, Conor McGregor was 14-2 at Cage Warriors when he won 2 belts. I was 5-0 and defended 1 in the process. You know, so I'm doing things in record time, and you know, I'm not planning on stopping anytime soon. I was planning on going for a 3rd belt, but this last-minute fight came in, and I couldn't say no. You know, so for me, it's one of those things that I'm just trying to do as much as possible in my possibly decently long career. You know, we'll see where it goes from here, but you know, this UFC can be a huge pedestal for me to help a lot of people in my neighborhood and just around the world as well.
I think that's great. At Titan, you were a champ at flyweight and at bantamweight. This fight's at flyweight. Is the goal to, at some point, to maybe switch between the 2 different divisions, or is flyweight where your heart is right now?
You know, flyweight, I'm definitely a flyweight fighter. Given in a proper training camp, I'm definitely a flyweight fighter. I was called, I believe, in a 9-10 day notice. So cutting the weight, getting ready for what featherweight fight was, you know, a little hard. And you know, I got to cut weight today. Everything's gonna be good, and then make weight tomorrow, and you know, be able to have a phenomenal performance. But you know, for me, flyweight is a division that I believe needs me the most. You know, bantamweight's a great division. I feel better. I know I'm strong, but you know, some of these guys, I've trained with TJ Dillashaw, I've trained with some of the best in there, and I'm just like, oh, okay, maybe, yeah. No, I'm a flyweight. You guys are pretty strong. So for me, I want to do all the things I can do at flyweight, but if the UFC needs me as a last-minute replacement for a bantamweight fight, I'm more than happy to do a Donald Cerrone, put on a show, and give the fans what they want.
And what's it mean for you to now finally be making this UFC debut? I mean, what does this mean for you personally, and just all the hard work and dedication that you've taken to get to this point? What does this mean for you?
I'm not there yet. For me, it's just another fight. Now I'm just on a different stage, a different pedestal. I don't believe in the fans. I don't believe in the hype. I don't believe in anything. I just go in there, fight, have fun, and enjoy myself. It just so happens that, again, I'm in the UFC. I'm on a 32 fight win streak, 2-belt champion, so many title defenses, and so on. So I'm just making a living, having some fun doing it, and giving the fans what they want. It just so happens I'm in the UFC and putting on hopefully a great performance Friday night.
And you've kind of already started doing it, but if you could break down Jared Brooks for me. Where is he dangerous? What are the things you really need to pay attention for?
So the big thing for him is that he does circle very well, and by the time you circle and some guys push forward and want to strike, he's ready to time your strikes and go for the takedown. And he's a beautiful double leg, beautiful single legs off the wall, and just likes to hold you down. That's the only problem with Jared, is he holds you down so strong that he tires himself out eventually, even when you're not doing anything, even when he's in a dominant position. That's fine with me. I'm a guy who's used to five-minute rounds, even with broken limbs and broken hands and so on. I want to be able to push forward no matter what. If it's a wrestling match, so be it. I'm an All-American college wrestler. He's a state champion in Indiana. I believe my accolades coincide with his pretty well. For me, I know I can handle his wrestling. Even if he does take me down, can he hold me down? He didn't hold down Eric Sheldon and the Brazilian, and they for sure both weren't wrestlers. So I want to see what he's going to do against an actual wrestler and what he's going to do when he can't take a person down.
And I know you brought up, you've been in the Pan American Games, you've been the kickboxing champ at different levels. So for a lot of guys going in, I think for the debut, and they walk on that crowd, they're kind of taken by the scene. But even though you are probably one of the most exciting prospects that's come into the sport, you're not a rookie by any means. You're used to bigger stages. So, are you expecting to go in there and not have the typical nerves and butterflies that most people do on their very first fight?
I don't think about it too much. I know a lot of my coaches, like, once you get in that tunnel, it's going to hit you. I'm like, we'll see. Right now I'm more just waiting to make weight. But, I'm not worried about the tunnel. I'm not worried about the lights. Mainly being the first fight, the arena's not as packed yet, so I know that's definitely going to be a little lifesaver for me. But I guess the only thing I'm worried about is that it's a bigger cage. I'm just like, man, I like to, keep it compact and small, and like to fight in, small little vicinities where I can implement my game. Jared Brooks now has a big cage to run around, and, it's more energy to try to cut off the cage and do, so much more. So for me, it's just another fight, another day, different cage, a different arena, and for a different promotion.
Well, I know you say it's just another fight, but I'm sure this fight is already played out in your head, because I can tell you're very analytical. How does this fight go down? How do you see it happening?
I see a second-round TKO. He's a guy who does gas out about halfway second round, but he keeps the pace in all of his fights. He's never had the pace push on him. I'm the one that dictates the pace in every single one of my fights, no matter where the fight's going, on the ground, and the stand-up. Mainly with the new rules, if you're going to hold me down and do nothing, I'm definitely going to win the fight. I'm going to do something off the ground. I'm going to punch you. I'm going to elbow you. I'm going to try to throw submissions and try to do everything possible, either to stand this up or just still win the fight if I can't stand up. So for me, I'm not worried about this fight. He's going to gas out in the second round, and I'm going to knock him out then.
Really, the only other question that I had was, Brooks is a guy that likes to try to get in people's heads. He likes the antics. You guys haven't really had too much of a back and forth, on social media. I saw some subtle jabs out there with the different Instagram posts. But, do you like that coming into your first fight, to have a guy like that standing across you, somebody that can make, you bring eyes, but you bring some eyes too, just from his antics and his skills.
Well, it's amusing because I'm so lackadaisical that I know it bothers him. It's kind of contradictory for himself, where he's talking all the smack, waiting for the rebuttal, and then nothing happens. He's just like, So for me, again, I have no disrespect against Jared Brooks, but I do believe his comebacks are kind of like a teenager trying to talk back to you. It's like, I'm going to do this in the fight. He goes, well, your mother this, your mother. It's like, what's that have to do with the fight? So for me, again, I pay no attention to it. It could be a Conor McGregor type of fighting style or talk. It can be a Colby Covington or Jared Brooks. For me, again, I'm just going into the fight no matter what we're going to fight, and I think no matter what, it's going to be the same result.
Awesome. Good luck.
Thank you.